This week we'll be in the Hydrolysis AP lab. We'll be looking at these 14 different solutions that we have made and determining whether or not we think they are acids or bases, and then predicting them, determining the color of the pH paper, and by so doing, figuring out the actual pH level of them, and also determining if actual hydrolysis is going on. So, in order to do this, you'll need a data sheet. Your data sheet will look something like this, with the solutions over here on the left, your predictions here on the middle chart, which I've filled out there for you, and the color of pHs, the actual pH levels, and the determining whether or not hydrolysis is occurring or not. You'll be filling out these 4 columns technically. You'll be determining those 4 columns as you do the lab, which we will get started on now. So here are the 16 different salts, and in the bottom right hand corner you have the distilled water that we'll be using. We'll be taking different drops of each of these 16. You can see first row here, next row there, and the next row, all 16 of them there. We'll be taking drops and applying the solution onto this pH paper over here, which will help you determine the color, or will help you determine the pH by using the color of the paper after the solution has been administered to it, I suppose you could say. And now we have the strips of the pH paper on each one of those 16 different squares. The 16 different squares are arranged like they are arranged on the lab itself. So these 16 squares correspond to those 16 squares. And now I'll start to do this. So starting in the top left corner, here's the aluminum sulfate. So we just want to get a drop or two onto the pH paper itself. Like so that it's wet, and move on to the next one. Same thing with the sodium nitrite, sorry. And the zinc sulfate. Ammonium chloride. Sodium sulfate. Some sodium bicarbonate. Sodium bisulfate. Sodium acetate. Sodium phosphate. Potassium chloride. Sodium carbonate. Potassium chloride. Copper sulfate. Copper 2 sulfate, more specifically. Magnesium nitrate. Iron 3 chloride. And finally, some distilled water. You then want to allow these to sit for about 5 minutes or so and record the color changes onto that data table. So it's been about 5 minutes of waiting here, so we can actually record the color changes now. I have zoomed in closely for you to be able to see what each of the solutions are made of, as well as the colors that they have changed to. And here's the tube for the pH paper that allows you to determine the pH based on the color of these. So you should be able to pause the video right about now so that you can see both the colors on the pH paper tube as well as the colors that have happened from solution on the pH paper.